Yo, what's up, everybody? Happy Friday. It's House Divided here on Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff. He's Chad. Going to be with you for an hour-ish or so as we talk recruiting, talk Texas football. They play Florida tomorrow. I'll be in the stadium. Won't that be exciting? Do us a solid. Like, comment, subscribe to the page. Do all of those things you know we'd like you to do. And by all means, jump into the Specs chat, super chat us, comment away. Be interactive. We'll have some fun today. Again, talking recruiting, talking football. And good afternoon to you, Doug. Hope you're having a great start to your Friday. I'm in a pretty good mood, Chad. Let's do some talking. Let's analysis and funny stuff, and we'll have Scottish guy at the end, which is neither funny nor analysis. No, I'm just
ever.
But I always sit in anticipation for the song quote.
Yeah,
every week.
Especially not the first part. There's always breakdown. It's never funny though, ever. That's the goal. Never, not once.
And yet I laugh all the time. I don't know that it's not funny. It's not. And yet I crack up and laugh, and something's causing that. I don't know what it is. Chad, we're teasing recruiting at the top of the video. We did do our war room last night. Actually, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a little bit of an info C block. Sorry about that. But the show's brought to you by Texas Card House. And tomorrow, Chad and Jason Sukamel will be at the Texas Card House Social on 183 in Anderson Mill. Come on out for the watch party. The specials are dope. You're not going to get better beer specials and dollar pints for almost everything in the house and $2 jellyfish. The food's fantastic. The screen is a monster. And yes, Sukamel and Chad will be out there. I think we'll probably make a stopover once the game is over and just wave and say hello and maybe grab something to eat while we're there. Again, I've been craving the burger, but the Bad Beat Bacon is something to behold as well. So come on out. We all may potentially be there. Scan that QR code. And oh, by the way, play some poker once you're done with the football aspect of it all. But you don't have to. You can just come out and sit in the sports bar area. We did the war room last night at orangebloods.com. I thought it was a pretty good war room. I thought we exhausted the Jonte Cook story. Combine Orange Bloods Live with the war room last night. And if you need Jonte Cook discussion, believe me, it's there. That won't be us today. There were some interesting recruiting nuggets inside. We can even talk a little bit. I've got a little bit on Michael Fasusi from earlier today that we can get into. But Javion Hilson continues to be one of the big names of focus in Texas recruiting. Sukamel had a note from a source. And I was kind of glad that there was a little bit of a Javion Hilson note in the war room, Chad, because there's been some dynamics, some changes in that recruitment. And Hilson has come out and essentially eliminated all of the in-state schools, which people who are close to that recruitment that know Hilson personally really felt like the in-state schools were going to be a major factor. I mean, you know, I've talked about it at length when we've talked about Hilson because people close to him have some real specific information about home life and the dynamics of family and all of these things that would make staying home a real tangible potential need for him. And yet there's no getting away right now from the fact that it looks like Texas A&M, Syracuse, and maybe Pittsburgh, as crazy as that is. He's looking outside the state, though. We're no longer seeing that Central Florida is a major factor. Florida State, a school that obviously he was committed once upon a time. Will it stay that way? We'll see. I've always believed that push comes to shove, based on what I've been told about his just kind of life situation, that the night he puts his head on a pillow before signing day, that it would be one of the rest of these schools and then somebody local, that there will be a time when, and it's usually that weekend right before the last couple of days, a guy puts his head on a pillow, and if he's going to go far away from home, it's like, oh crap, this is real. Am I really going to go from Florida to the state of Texas and all of that distance in between. But as of right now, his 4 has changed.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this really is a Texas A&M battle when it's all said and done. I think there's a real sense that Texas is the favorite, the team to beat. But if you're Texas, what, how, who, what, Ryan? It's like they had barely battled for anybody in state this year. And then towards the end, it might be Hilson and it might be Fasusi when it's all said and done.
Yeah, it's massive. By the way, if Javion, Hilson, or any of his team are watching today, not only is House Divided fully supportive of both sides of House Divided, Texas and Texas A&M, as luck would have it, I'm rocking a Pitt shirt today. I don't have a Syracuse helmet in the Hall of Helmets, but we could change that if it helps. I mean, we just want to be all inclusive. And
what are you doing wearing a Pitt shirt today?
I just looked in the closet and I thought, what have I not worn in a while? And I happened to
like a few days ago. I'm sorry.
And I happened to grab the Pitt shirt. We made a trip to Pittsburgh a few years ago because the other side of the family's Pittsburgh people. I'm a Tony Dorsett freak, and I always loved the script Pitt, so I grabbed me a shirt. So I put it on today. But it is wild that those are the last 4 catch. Like, that is surprising to me. I was thinking that we would end up with one of those Florida schools, but just from the House Divided perspective, I've asked you this before, and we've talked about it before, but the fact that a guy that's this highly rated could end up being a true House Divided battle in this new era of the SEC, the fact that game feels like it's gonna matter in a way that it just hasn't maybe ever, it's incredible. And the idea that Javion Hilson has been to both places and might go official visit. I believe that's the way it's scheduled. Official visit to A&M that weekend. He sits and enjoys the game, and then he might be literally picking, hey, do I want to wear that or do I want to wear that? That's incredible.
And on top of that, I think Michael Fasusi could turn into a Texas A&M battle when it's all said and done. Committed to Oklahoma right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really interesting. I talked to I had seen over at our old rival site for the OU side of things, the Sooner Scoop guys.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how much they love me anymore. My guy Josh McQuistion stopped following me once he left the network. I got unfollowed.
He was always one of my favorite guests back in the day.
I don't know what happened. I got unfollowed. I don't know what I did, although deep down there's a long list.
Well, yeah.
I don't know what I did. Well,
I don't know what I said. Well, Kanye, you might have, yeah.
But I had seen someone mention to me earlier in the week that he had listed what he thought let me put you like this before I tell you the number.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how I did the old 85% for Kyler Murray?
Yes.
And nobody ever lets me forget it.
No one does. Catch, I didn't even remember that story until we got back together here for Orange Bloods Live. And every time now I see 85%, right? Not just your shirt, but every time my phone says 85%, I think of you now.
So he handicapped. Somebody asked him, what do you think the odds are of Fasusi sticking with the Sooners?
Okay.
What would be an alarming number for you? Keep in mind, just this week, he literally was quoted by the Rivals Oklahoma site as saying that he will be a Sooner for life.
Yeah. If I was a Sooner fan, Catch, it would be anything under 80% would concern me.
He listed it at 65%.
That would concern me if I was an OU fan.
That's not far away from 50-50.
Yeah, that is not a coin flip, but it can see the coin flip.
It's like it's waving at a coin flip is what it's doing.
Right. It could turn, and if coin flip wanted to order lunch, 65% could order lunch for the coin flip.
Those two percentages are walking by each other going,
Yeah. What's
You know,
up? You having a good day? Yep.
how's the family? So I checked in with a Sooner buddy of mine who knows what's going on around those parts. And the sense was there's some real trepidation about being able to keep Fasusi. Then I ended up seeing Sam Spiegelman, a national guy for Rivals. He predicted in a predictions piece that he did yesterday. He said his prediction was Fasusi will sign with one of the two Texas schools. And then Texas A&M is now the new elephant in the room with Fasusi. And Fasusi made a point in this interview with the OU Rivals site to say, look, Sarkisian is my guy. I love talking to Sark. Yes, Texas is still there. And then he made a point in this interview of saying, the team that nobody talks about, but probably needs to talk about with regards to his recruitment.
Yeah.
Is Texas A&M. Those are his words, not my words.
Catch, these kids are so fantastic nowadays of keeping the story going, even if he ends up at OU. Just the way they can word things to freak everybody out. Like, why in the world would you go out of your way to say Sark's your guy? And oh, by the way, you know who people aren't talking about? A&M. It's like, well, yeah, but who was he talking to? Oh, the OU site.
Let me read the quote, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Because I put this in the war room.
I know. I saw it and I flipped out. I couldn't believe it.
This is Fasusi being quoted as saying, quote, another school that people keep leaving out is A&M. They've been there since the start of my recruitment, and they're still pushing really hard every single day. They're still showing a lot of love, too. Then he mentioned to the OU rival site that he will likely visit A&M at some point, although no date has been established.
Wow.
But he's Sooner till he dies.
Yeah. And by the way, Catch, for the record, I'm not just flipping out because A&M's my school. I'm flipping out because of the context of it all. He could have said any other school. It's not that he said A&M. That's not what flipped me out. It's that he did that unsolicited. No, he was not asked a specific question about who else is a factor. He kind of brings it up. It's just weird. It's like during a date with Sally, normally people don't go, you know what, Sally? You know what girl nobody's talking about that could be my date next week when prom comes around? Whoo, Betty. Man, nobody's talking about Betty. If you're Sally, you kind of get to be pissed there.
So I checked in with a source earlier today about Fasusi. And my Texas people are being very coy on Fasusi. I can tell it's live, that it's
right. It's real.
Absolutely a thing in play. It jives with Sarkisian being at his game last week. I think there are some NIL questions that I have that I don't have answers to. But a few months ago, 2 months ago, there was you know what? We may not pay an offensive lineman top NIL dollars. Because we're on a little bit of a budget, and can we really afford $1 million towards a player who's not playing right away? And when we had shows about this, it's a real interesting kind of discussion about if you've got $20-30 million a year to spend on a roster, how much of it do you spend on infrastructure for future seasons, right? How much do you dedicate 20% of your resources for an investment on the season that follows? Or is it a lot more, hey, if we, instead of $700,000 on the backup left tackle, who you could acquire potentially in the next season with that amount of money, what if we spent that on a linebacker that made the team immediately better? They're really interesting philosophical discussions. And it seems like Texas was more on the line of, if we're going to spend that amount of money, we need guys that are going to be playing right away. But maybe that's not quite the attitude now. I haven't yet quite figured out. And kind of my approach today, I wanted to know if it's an A&M Texas battle, is there a sense that A&M could do something nutty? Is A&M got its stuff together from an NIL perspective that they could go to Fasusi and go $2 million? At which point, Texas is waving the white flag. You know what I mean? Like,
it'd be like the rest of Major League Baseball when the Rangers and A-Rod started talking. Like,
yes,
we're out. We're good.
Yeah, well, hey, like,
you're done. We're done.
Yes, we've been recruiting you. Yes, we're still making $2 million.
Come on.
Tip of the cap.
Yeah.
Have fun in College Station.
Get what you can get, young man.
I don't get the sense that Texas is worried about that. And I don't, again, I've got more questions than answers on this stuff right now. But from the A&M perspective, these two schools haven't butted heads much in recruiting, and definitely not in a way where NIL has been the difference.
Right.
That you could point to any of the wins that either Texas or Texas A&M have, right? Because what I didn't get was, and kind of trying to get some answers on this, we've been kicking their ass all year. Why would anything change now? Didn't hear that, but didn't also hear, oh man, if you've seen the way that they've been reacting with other recruitments, we're leery of whatever that might be. The same way that I think they were when Oregon and DeCorian Moore was happening. And there was this thought of, well, yes, we've made the best offer, we think, from an NIL perspective, but could Oregon change? Oh, yep, they changed it. You know, that kind of a thing. So at this point, I'm not hearing that NIL will be, if it really turns into a Texas A&M battle for Fasusi. I don't know that it's going to come down to NIL. It's what I was wondering this week. Would one of these schools, and by one of these schools, I mean Texas A&M, just money whip the kid with a presentation that would blow OU out of the water, that would make Texas not want to touch that kind of discussion with a 10-foot pole. And at this point, that doesn't exist. So doesn't seem like anything at this point is going to be crazy on the Fasusi front. It may come down to, where does he want to be the most between Texas and Texas A&M? And I think at the moment, there's a perception that the answer to that question would be Texas. Can Texas A&M change that? I mean, Michael Fasusi himself is saying, don't count the Aggies out. But I think that if we were to talk to Sam Spiegelman from Rivals, who wrote this prediction piece yesterday saying he thinks it will be one of the two Texas schools, he didn't come out and say it, but he wrote about it in the language of Texas is the one that it's kind of the perceived, if it's not Oklahoma, who would it be? There's a perception that it would be Texas. And Texas A&M is kind of being treated as but don't sleep on these guys. So if Oklahoma's not the favorite, I think Texas is, but I don't think it would be at an NIL level that's crazy I don't think it would be DeCorian Moore NIL level. I don't think we're talking about 1 point plus. And A&M may be, I wonder if we were to get Sarkisian and Kyle Flood together and say, between the Sooners and the Aggies, who do you view as the biggest threat? I wonder what their answer would be today, because I don't know if people on the Oklahoma side are completely convinced that it's the Sooners, even though he's still committed there, even though there's a lot of reasons why he would choose Oklahoma. So it's a fascinating set of circumstances that have kind of evolved in the last month on the Fasusi front. And it's probably not shocking, because the moment OU season started to go sideways a little bit and we started to have these questions of, man, is Brent Venables even going to be here in 15 months?
Right. Well, because that gets us to these last three chapters, Catch. If you're a Texas fan, obviously you root for him to go to Columbia and lose this week That puts the bowl game in serious jeopardy, because then to get a bowl game, they'd have to beat Alabama at home, or they'd have to beat LSU in Death Valley. Now, that game will probably get moved to like on 11 o'clock. They won't have to do it at night, but still, it
makes them look real Mickey Mouse.
Right. It gets really tough at that point. And then you're going to have you'll have voices in Fasusi's head, but his own voice in his head will be saying, okay, Big Mike, like, there's one thing about playing time, but there's a whole nother issue about who you're playing for. And that really creeps in.
Well, and look, we've seen this at Florida State, especially once that seed is planted that the guy you're swearing to play for might not be there. It changes the dynamics. One of the reasons why Florida put out the statement that it did this week about Billy Napier being back next season is that DJ Lagway went there to play for him. And he's viewed as the future of that program. But if you take the head coach away from that narrative, that changes. I don't know that an offensive lineman carries the same sway that a five-star quarterback does. But look, it was the moment that Tom Herman probably lost his job. The breaking point was Quinn Ewers defected to Ohio State, and you had the Brockermeyer twins go to Alabama. Those two things felt like even more so. I mean, the final season was okay. As far as pandemic seasons went, Texas was okay. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't
8 or 9,
great.
Right? Yeah, 8 or 9 wins. Yeah,
they finished the season ranked as one of the highest ranked teams that Texas had in the last decade. Mm-hmm. But the perception was that behind the scenes, the foundation was breaking apart. I would say this: if Fasusi flips on Oklahoma and he goes somewhere else, Oklahoma will keep Venables. But I think beyond the games, I think that would be a real huge sign. That's the first true Carl Lewis singing the national anthem for Brent Venables' tenure at Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Is if Fasusi, the best prospect that they would have signed under Venables, flips and does so to a rival because of and everybody will know it will be because of what happened this season. Very similar to Anthony Hill when Anthony Hill flipped from A&M to Texas. That was not anything other than Anthony Hill watched that Aggie season that season and kind of went yuck. And it started to click in, this Jimbo thing is maybe not what I thought 12 months ago it was. And sure enough, Jimbo makes it one more year and then he's gone. So these big monster recruitments really can be a huge foreshadowing for the next 12 months that will follow in a lot of instances. It was for Herman. It was for Jimbo. And I think keep an eye on this one for Brent Venables. This is one they truly need to land the plane with. If they can't, I think 12 months from now, we'll be able to look back and go, you know what? We talked about this even before Fasusi flipped. We talked about it weeks before he flipped. We were talking about the idea of him flipping, and if it did, it might be a harbinger of things to come for that OU program under Venables.
All right, we got a couple super chats already in. We got a good group already in the Specs chat. Jump on in if you like. If you send us a super chat, it will go right into the list. Before we do that, let me thank one of our great partners. I'm going to make you hungry, and I'm going to give you a plan at Hayes City Store. I'm going to tell you exactly what I would do. Next time I go out to Hayes City Store, this is what I think my plan is. So mark the show, come back, and go through it in case you can't get there in the next week or so. I start out with that home run dip because you get everything. Salsa, guac, the queso, and an incredible bean dip that will change your life. And the best chips I think I've ever had in my life. Do that. I've gotten myself into a liquor and beer combo. Do a liquor drink, then do a beer out there. Never treats me bad. Then I'm going blackened pork chop. That's right. Blackened pork chop with that side of the incredible gravy. It will change your life as well. And for dessert, Barry's Heaven. And if you're feeling a little saucy, they might have one of those dessert kind of, whiskey drinks or bourbon drinks. At one point, I think they had like a bourbon milkshake out there. That's the path that I would take at Hayes City Store the next time I go. Check it out. You want to go that path, different path? There are no wrong paths when you go through that menu. Just make sure you are not in a hurry and make sure you are in a mood to splurge. Don't go out there in a cheap mindset and don't go out there in a hurry. You're going to have a great time and you're going to want to come back. Hayes City Store. They're right out there on FM 150 in Driftwood. Go check out Wimberley right after and walk around or whatever. They're close to a couple spots like that, but it's beautiful hill country environment and just some of the best food and drink you have ever had. A shout out to Hayes City Store. Go see them the next time you get a chance. All right, we did have super chats rolling in. Let's start with Barb's 10, $9.99. In the spirit of Sark and Cook, me and giving an F about the Fasusi indecisiveness have mutually parted ways. Horns by 30, says Barb's 10. Yeah, but Barb's 10, you'd take him, right? Just making sure.
Come on now. What are we doing?
I'm just making sure.
Barbs, I would just say this, man. Recruiting at this level is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, got to be ready.
If you're faint of heart, look, I'm not judging you, but I'm saying if you tend to find yourself saying things like, man, I just don't care about that recruitment. It's okay. You might just turn away when that conversation comes up because the roller coaster ride's not over.
No. Well, and catch again for Barb's 10 and everybody, for all of us old folk recruiting fans, it's a new age, man. This is a kid that announced he's going to OU, immediately threw a horns down, says he's a Sooner for life, but says the Texas coach is his boy, and if y'all forget to ask him, he wants to talk about the Aggies. It's like, huh? I mean, this is modern stuff. We all got to be ready. Head on a freaking swivel, people.
Hey, it's not that modern. I can remember 20 years ago this month. Went to a barbershop and interviewed Martellus Bennett.
Oh, dear God.
The funny thing is, before we went to the barbershop, his brother Michael was there. I went to their house.
Okay.
So Michael's sitting in the living room and Martellus is telling me, you need to interview my brother Michael. He's the star. He's the good one. You should be interviewing him. And I was like, Marty, let's go to the barbershop. I don't care about your brother. Yeah. Oh, little did I know that eventually Michael Bennett would kind of be good too.
They were both right? They were both right. They were both pretty good.
I do this interview with Marty B. First of all, it was me and a woman. I can't even remember her name, which is probably a good thing because I can't embarrass her. She was going, at the time, the reigning Playmate of the Year for Playboy worked at Rivals.
Mm-hmm.
And, God, why can't I remember her name? Hold on. Rivals.com, Playmate.
It's probably good you can't remember this name. I think that says something. It's good
what was
news.
Her name? Oh, I remember that she married. Oh, why does it bother me? She married the lead singer of Lone Star. Anyway.
In case my mom's watching, I don't know. I have no clue who he's talking about.
I gotta just do like 2005 Playmate of the Year and it'll pop up. Anyway, when he sees the woman that shows up to do the interview, Martellus Bennett told her, "Oh, they sent the B team."
Oh no, that's funny.
Then he proceeded to make fun of every single head coach that was recruiting him as a finalist.
Of course he did. He's Marty B.
All he did was make fun of them. Didn't say anything positive. He just busted the chops of every head coach he was considering. That was 20 years ago. These kids, they've been wilding for a while.
Well, and that's a good point. We should have known that Marty B was on the cutting edge. Marty B is one of those guys that really started this idea of like, you got to be nimble in the way you think about this stuff. They're going to say stuff. They're going to do stuff. Catch, do you realize how many pictures Marty B would put out of himself in gear nowadays? If right now Marty B was a 5-star badass in high school, you realize he'd have a picture on social media of him in every uniform possible, including the Indiana Fever. Like he'd have all of it. It'd be incredible. It'd be just unbelievable.
So,
all right.
Yeah, I won't let the kids of today take the blame. I'm telling you, we've had some for a while.
Yeah, you're right. We have. By the way, we did get this super chat in earlier. Juan, thank you for $4.99. I'm assuming this is meant as Chad and Jeff. Yeet. I'm assuming, and my apologies to Jay Uso for now making that uncool. I'm assuming that was a pro wrestling reference, but I assume everything's a pro wrestling reference. So if you meant that in some other yeet way, I don't know. Ketch, are you up to date on this yeet thing with Jay Uso? It has taken over pro wrestling in a way that I never would have expected. He's literally the yeet. He wears a shirt that says yeet. And you remember the shtick where Stone Cold would talk and the crowd would say, what?
Yes.
Now the crowd says yeet for Jay Uso. He just shows up in the ring, says a few words, and they all go yeet. And then he just keeps talking. It's unbelievable.
All right, well, yeet.
Yeah, it's not cool anymore because I just said it. But, Juan, we appreciate you jumping in. Also, just to clarify, earlier, Scott, did you say beef bacon? No. Ketch said bad beat bacon, like bad beat in card playing or in sports or whatever. That's what they call it at the Texas Card House at TCH Social. Bad beat bacon. You can't go wrong. It is fantastic. And no, Michael Fasusi did not say don't sheep on A&M, but thank you, Cotton. Appreciate you. That is not, had he said that, that would have been an all-time like weird troll, comment, but I don't believe he did say that. I don't think that. Cotton. Yeet is as fresh as YOLO. There you go.
Doesn't sound fresh.
Cutting edge, Cotton. That's all we are here. That's all we are. Yes, 2016. It wasn't me. I didn't send the super chat. Somebody else did. It's probably a Jay Uso fan. I can't help that. All right. If you want to send us a super chat, it will go right to the top of the list. We talked some Javion Hilson. We talked some Michael Fasusi. Both guys could end up as like a house divided battle. That would be incredible if that is the case. Ketch, there's been a discussion in the chat kind of while we've been talking about that Fasusi level. Let's just get your clarified thoughts on it. The discussion in the chat was, should Fasusi be thought of in Kelvin Banks terms? Is that a fair discussion for you, or do we need to put like some respect on one name or the other?
I think that's fair.
Okay. He's that good.
Yeah. My expectations are if he hits his upside, that he's a guy that's got a chance to be an All-American and a first-round draft pick for sure.
Okay. The other
they
question,
don't all hit like that, but do I see him as a Kelvin Banks level prospect? 100%.
Somebody else threw out the idea, I guess, of if he shows up on campus, let's say he goes to Texas and shows up on campus, who is that a warning shot to? Would the arrival of Fasusi be some warning for another offensive lineman at Texas?
Well, I think that it would certainly tell a guy like Trevor Gooseby, who I think is this team's third tackle. Earlier in the week, and Anwar Richardson had this in the war room, and it looked like there might have been a possibility earlier in the week that Cam Williams wasn't going to play this week. Missed a couple of days of practice for what's being described as personal reasons. He's playing, everything's cool, but for a while it looked like that might not be the case, and Gooseby was sliding over to right tackle. So that would have been interesting in this game to get kind of a Trevor Gooseby break-in against Florida. We're not going to get that, but I think it gives you an idea of going into next season if Texas loses both Cam Williams and Kelvin Banks. And I think that's a realistic possibility. And I also wonder if the idea that they might lose both of their tackles has maybe incentivized Texas to maybe get back into Michael Fasusi a little more seriously, that if there's a world out there where you just think you're losing Kelvin Banks and that Gooseby would be the guy that in Michael Fasusi's first year is better set, they think Trevor Goosby is going to be an NFL player, so that he would be going into his third season more ready to play at that position than Fasusi. I think in a world where you think Cam Williams comes back, you're probably, and we've got Brandon Baker, who is a 5-star, and he's behind Cam Williams. But if you lose both, I think there's some real uncertainty at tackle at that point. And while they feel good about Goosby, I don't know that they feel like there's a guarantee on the box on the other side. So, I really think that there could be a real urge for them to maybe go get a guy like Michael Fasusi, more so than there was when he originally made their decision. You're projecting ahead to next season, because I do think it says something that if Cam Williams wasn't going to play in this game, that they were going to move Goosby over from right tackle to play right tackle, as opposed to playing the backup right tackles. And, they'll need those guys to play in 10 months, 9 months. And that's not a lot of time. And if 9 months before you need them, there's still some hesitation. And Brandon Baker's played in 4 games. The last time he did see a few plays, a few snaps against Georgia. But yeah, I think Fasusi could be in play for us. I think for me, it's probably a warning shot to all of the tackles on campus. F around and find out, because there's nobody on campus once Banks is gone that has the recruit. Not even Brandon Baker quite has the recruiting profile of Michael Fasusi. So nobody looks at Brandon Baker as a left tackle. Fasusi's viewed as a guy that could be Kelvin Banks in 3 or 4 years. So I would say they'll want to get the best 2 that they can on the field. And the thing that Fasusi might allow you to do is, if the right tackles are terrible, if he's really that good, maybe he is like Kelvin Banks. He could play from day one, and maybe in a pinch, Goosby could flip over to the right side if you felt like Fasusi couldn't play on the right, and or none of the guys that they're not quite ready to put into a starting lineup situation are ready by next year.
All right, Catch, one of my favorite chatters who likes to break it down just threw in a couple chats to us. I want to get your thoughts. David Keith, I think it would probably be more of a warning to John Turntine rather than any current Longhorn already in the program. Your thoughts on that? Would those 2 names relate to you? Would that be connected?
Well, the insinuation would be that the next year Turntine would look at the arrival of Fasusi and say, not for me, because Fasusi's gone there. That's not impossible. Those things do happen. Mm-hmm. It happens less than you think, though. There once upon a time, Texas A&M is kind of a good example. There was a stretch from 2010 through 2011, 2012, where they were just picking up big-time offensive line guys all over the place. And, you'd have a guy play left tackle one season, right tackle, and then flip when one guy moved out. The thing I think with Turntine is that you'd still be able to sell playing time, and the idea that, look, we play our tackles early. We play Kelvin Banks early. Brandon Baker's not a starter, but we've still got him in the games. Fasusi's playing early. So I think they'd be able to sell the idea that if you're good enough to play, that you can come on in. Turntine is going to want to play for a national championship program, a school that he thinks he can go to where those types of things can happen. Those schools tend to recruit really, really well. But, I don't think anybody should scoff at the point. It's possible that those things can happen. I would say when it comes to 5-star left tackle prospects, a bird in the hand is worth way more than 2 in the bush every time. Every time. Yeah. And if you think I'm wrong, think back to like Garrett Gilbert and how Mac handled that, skipping on guys and not even trying with the likes of Andrew Luck or Robert Griffin or anybody, because they felt like we got 2 in the bush with Garrett Gilbert. And then sometimes that two in the bush will backfire on you. And then what? I think that's one of the things about the Texas offensive line recruiting since the 2022 class that feels a little alarming just on the surface is that this line right now is built and predicated on the superiority of specifically Kelvin Banks. That if you took Kelvin Banks off this offensive line, it changes everything. Then this is not a pile of guys anchored by maybe the best at his position in the last 20 years at this school. But because that's the conversation that we're having about Kelvin Banks now. Where does he rank? Is he better than Dan Neal? Like those conversations are happening. Is he better than Leonard Davis? Is he better than Blake Brockermeyer? Is he better than go back beyond that and find the greatest offensive lineman? Is he better than Jerry Sizemore? That's the conversation about Kelvin Banks that exists right now. If you take him away, there's no All-Americans left. There's probably not an all-conference player left. And this group's just pretty good. So they haven't been landing Kelvin Banks type guys in the numbers that you would hope, like one or two of those guys once every year or two. Brandon Baker's kind of been it. And then you look at the rest of the offensive line depth chart, and it's not filled with super blue chip level offensive line prospects. So, man, it'd be a good problem for Texas to have to go essentially 3 recruiting classes in a row without a legit elite level left tackle prospect, and then to have too many. Well, they can't get turn time because Michael Fasusi went there. That's Elon Musk level problems. I mean, there's just I get it if somebody's such a big turn time fan that they wouldn't want Texas to get Fasusi because it might mean they couldn't get turn time. That is George Clooney in his prime level problems. Right. Oh, Keebs doesn't want to go out with me anymore because I'm not ready to commit. Whatever shall I do? Like that is a hell of a problem to have if you're Texas and you can get there. If at some point Kyle Flood has to turn to Sarkisian and go, Sark, I know you want him, but we just got too many 5-stars already on campus.
Yeah.
Touche.
Derek Jeter can't find a basket big enough for all the phones. Damn, sometimes it just happens. We got a super chat from Buck Wild. We will get that. David Keith, I see your other breakdown chat. We will catch his thoughts on that as well. Thanks to everybody. Up over 400 in the Specs chat. Let's hear from Lisa. You'll see the rabbit. It's maybe a chance to get stocked up at Specs. 11 o'clock kick for Texas and Florida.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Catch, I've never asked you this, but we've discussed that you haven't been able to turn one of your kids into a football fan yet. Maybe you do that this weekend when y'all are going to the game. Have you turned either of your kids into a root beer fan like yourself yet?
Daughter. Yeah, my daughter likes root beer.
Is she a connoisseur like you? Does she have her favorites and she's picking through? Like, are we to that level yet?
She's a Barks girl.
She's a Barks girl. Okay, you've raised her on Barks. We go to
this place called Honeybee Ham.
Oh, I love Honeybee Ham. There's one of those out in the Westlake area, yeah.
And they have root beer on tap.
Nice.
And per Haven, quote, it just hits different, end quote.
That's good. She's saying the fountain root beer is different than packaged root beer.
I think in every kind of way possible. It just hits different.
Have you ever gone to like a Specs and gotten some like crafty root beer for her?
No, but I've done that before. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a path you should go down with her because Specs will do that. Maybe a little Virgil's or Stewart's or my favorite, Abita. There's some really good like crafty root beers over in that other section of Specs that people don't know about. The non-alcoholic section of Specs, pretty good too. All right, we got a super chat catch from our guy Buck Wild out there on the roads. Keep it safe out there, Buck Wild.
Make some kid happy.
Yeah,
I love that when I was a kid, man.
God, it was the best, wasn't it? Just The absolute best. Off topic, from 1 to 10, how confident are we that Majors or any of the guards hold up in one-on-one situations against a fourth of a ton defensive tackle? I guess that's a fair question. He is pretty large. Catch, any concerns about the interior of the Texas defense dealing with that Florida front?
I mean, don't run at him. Because he can't get out of the way and they can't get him out of the way. But I don't expect him to take over the game at all.
That's a good breakdown. That's good coaching right there. Just don't go right at him. I'm looking up their roster so I can see how they list him currently. There he is. Desmond Watson, 6'5", 449. Catch.
He's big.
They list him at 449.
He's a big boy.
Does that mean he walks around at 460? Like,
I mean, it could mean he walks around at a lot of things, Chad.
My God. That is a human refrigerator. That's incredible. I mean,
it's possible that he walks around. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, Texas fans, number 21. Again, the fact that he wears 21 will stand out to you, but trust me, he could wear 88, 75, no number at all. He could have a drawing of Dora the Explorer on his jersey. You're going to notice him. He's listed at 450. Like, that's stupid. Stupid.
Oh.
Okay. Buck Wild, thank you for the super chat. One other nerdy one catch from David Keith, but I love it when he starts doing talent stacking chats. Says, I personally think Brandon Baker at right tackle and Trevor Gooseby at left tackle could develop into a great tackle duo for Texas, potentially be among the best in the nation. Is that how you see it shaking out, Catch? Like, is that the ultimate goal for Sark with those two guys?
I mean, I think that's the best case scenario. Yes. The new guy comes in at left tackle and the 5-star guy at the other tackle position turn out to be great players. Yes. Yep. I think.
And just for the record, how would today's discussion, how would Fasusi affect all that?
Well, I think let's forget about Fasusi for a second.
Okay.
Talk about Baker and Gooseby. I love Gooseby. You and I had a chance to see Trevor in person just by chance before the season started. What a great looking kid. I mean, he looks
impressive young man. Yeah.
$1 million. He's incredibly athletic. His best football's in front of him. Again, they think he's going to be an NFL player. But does that mean they think he's going to be a first-round pick, second-round picks, just somewhere in the NFL? Does that mean he's an elite of the elite guy like Kelvin Banks, something less than that, which is what 99% of the schools in America play with? But I think they're really high on him, and I don't think there's a lot of hesitation about playing Gooseby at left tackle next year. I think Brandon Baker he's younger. He comes with a bigger recruiting resume. And yet I think there was some disappointment that he didn't arrive better than he was. Just shows up on campus. How ready is he? I think there was a little disappointment about where he kind of was once he got on campus with young men. And, I think there's a lot less certainty about Brandon Baker's readiness going into next season. I would understand. Let me put it to you like this. I wouldn't understand Texas going into the portal for a left tackle unless the left tackle was a returning All-American. And how do you turn that down? I would understand going into the portal for a right tackle. And if Brandon Baker beats him out and is fantastic, cool. It's not much different than my philosophy on them taking a punter this summer. If Michael Kern beats out the guy that you bring in, then cool. That's a great problem to have. Don't take the chance. I would understand if they went out, got a guy in the portal that started somewhere at right tackle this year and was really good. And then you tell Brandon Baker, that's the bar, big boy. We'll play you, But you have to at least be better than that guy because we take no chances with Arch Manning under center and with a national championship that we're trying to win.
David Keith, as always, thank you for the breakdown there. We got one sneaking in here, $5 super chat from S. Roan. We got buy or sell coming up. Scottish guy as well says, "What's the plan for center next year?" By the way, try Sprecker's root beer. It's the best I've had. I think I've had that. That's pretty solid too. Plan for center next year, Catch.
I mean, I think there's a lot of hope that Daniel Cruz, who's redshirting this season, could be ready for that. I don't know if we're being 1,000% honest. Can you count on that? I don't know. It's not too dissimilar from, and then can Connor Robertson be that guy, or could Cole Hudson in a world where they have better guard play? I think they feel like they have some options, but I don't think at the moment that there's an absolute answer to that question.
Gotcha.
By the way, real quick, because
yeah.
I'm consumed by it now. I'm consumed. Yes. What was the name? Why can't I remember the name of the playmate that worked at Rivals? How could I forget such a thing? And now I'm also trying to remember the name of the B-teamer, right?
Yeah.
That went with me to the barbershop. Mm-hmm. I have not yet found her name, but look at what I found.
Wow. Now that's a clean look Marty B right there.
That is Marty B talking smack about Larry Coker. I think he gave the most business possible to Larry Coker in this interview.
Come on, Marty B. Let me tell you, Catch. In the give a damn department, that kid had none. None. Dude, Marty B.
He came by, and honestly, Chad, look at that face. It screams, I give zero fucks.
Yep. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you're thinking right now. Yeah. No, Marty.
And surprise, he and I had a really good relationship. He and I both kind of came from the same planet, Jupiter.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. What was it? Jupiter's Crunch was his Twitter for a while, and then Kung Fu Astronaut.
Yes.
He's the first person I remember that did weird Twitter names. We did an interview with him on the radio. He
came on pretty regularly there with us for a while.
Epic. Yeah, I think we had him on 3 or 4 times maybe, but the first one really stands out because he was just so mind-blowing. Like he made, back in those days, he made getting an interview with Mike Leach seem vanilla. When you talk to Mike Leach, you'd kind of think, oh my God, this is kind of crazy. And then you talk to Marty B and realize, oh, so Mike Leach is boring now. I didn't realize that, but that's what Marty B could do.
Okay, thanks to Jason Sukumel.
Yes.
I now remember the name of the Rivals supermodel. Like,
excellent.
Playmate of the Year.
What's her name?
Tiffany Fallon.
Tiffany.
And she didn't marry the lead singer for Lone Star. She married the lead singer from Rascal Flatts.
Oh, she married that high singing dude, huh?
Joe Don Rooney.
Good for Joe Don.
But let me tell you a quick story about Tiffany Fallon. She was working at Rivals.com. She becomes the Playmate of the Year. Sean Adams and I we were going to be in LA for the Rose Bowl, Texas-Michigan game.
Yes.
She just wins Playmate of the Year. She tells us that she will get us on the list for the Playmate party on New Year's Eve.
Like the Playmate party at the mansion?
Yes.
Okie doke. So
forgive us, but we followed up on that.
Yeah, you're gonna double check on that one later.
So, it starts as we start getting our plans ready to go to LA. It's like, hey, Tiffany, any update? No, there's no update. Okay.
Details.
Then there was a company, Rivals.com company party. So Tiffany was no longer returning my texts or my phone calls. Yeah. So I said, hey, if you see Tiffany tonight, do Sean and I a favor and say, hey, do we need to just not worry about it? Like, I don't want to keep bothering you.
Yeah.
So she mentions it to Tiffany Fallon at the Christmas party. And it got relayed back to me that she laughed at us.
That's a great big time moment when like one of the hottest women on earth at that moment gets to just sort of like, oh yeah, those guys are crazy. It's like, no, they're asking seriously.
No,
they're just
told. We did not like walk up to Tiffany and go, "Hey, Tiffany," because the whole thing was we were having a conversation about the fact that we were going to be in LA,
right? But you understand,
for the Rose Bowl.
She had that exact same conversation with 60 guys.
She told us.
I know.
Unsolicited.
I know.
I'll get you on the list.
Catch, when you're that smoking hot, you can unsolicited say that to about 100 different guys. And then guess how many of those 100 guys show up to the mansion? None. Zero.
Look, here's what you need to know.
Time.
I was not upset that we weren't on the list.
Uh-huh.
I was upset that she laughed at us. So forevermore, do you know who I've taken it out on?
Tiffany?
Rascal Flatts. Fuck them.
Oh, it's Rascal Flatts' fault. Okay.
I have since then.
Fair enough.
I've been like, hope that album doesn't sell.
Catch, isn't that a great cover? No, it's not. No. Don't you love the harmonies? No, I don't. I'd rather have Boston. All right. Okay. They're no Boston.
I've lived a weird life, haven't I? Because I have this poor guy, Joe Don Rooney, has no idea that there's a guy in Texas that roots for his band's demise based on the fact that his current wife once laughed at myself and Sean Adams.
Yeah. And by the way,
to know what our plans were going to be for New Year's Eve. That's it.
Yeah. By the way, my apologies to anyone who listens pre 1 o'clock for, content and knows that after 1 o'clock it gets crazy. We still got a minute to go. So we're sorry it started early.
Guys, Google Tiffany Fallon Playboy. You won't complain.
Right. Exactly. You'll understand. But now I lost my thought. I had a thought.
She was
for you.
Playmate of the Year.
Of the year. See, that's what I was going to say, Catch. There's only a few select men on the planet right now. I don't even know what the number is. Like, I don't know if it's the list I'm about to say, how many men right now can tell you that they are currently married to a former Playmate of the Year?
She has a DVD that I did a Google search. There's an actual 2005 Playmate of the Year DVD.
Yeah, like I don't know how many current is on that list. Like is that list larger, or is the list of like men who, people who've walked on the moon larger? I don't know. Because remember, Jeff Garcia used to be on the list. Jeff Garcia married Carmela de Cesar. By the way, if you haven't looked that name up recently, go ahead and be careful. But I believe they are now divorced, Catch. I don't think they're together anymore. So Jeff Garcia can't currently say that. How many men can currently say they're married to a Playmate of the Year from back in the day? I don't know how many on that list right now.
I shouldn't even be mad at her. First of all, it was a unique thing. By the way, I love that I told you we needed to get out close to an hour, and here I am telling Tiffany Fallon.
Of course you did, and I expected it.
Can you imagine the waves inside the Rivals.com network that were created when it was like, hey, man, did you hear about Tiffany? No. What about Tiffany? Playboy Playmate of the Year. Tiffany, the one that does our videos? Yes.
There you go.
Oh. Oh, okay.
That's just talent acquisition is what that is. That is all that is. Yeah, I just want you to know, Catch, I still get a little nervousness in my stomach when you give me the urgency of, hey, we got to get out around 1. I still get a little bit of that urgency.
I'm supposed to be in Austin, so I need to get out, but there's no question that I am the problem with the show right now.
I wouldn't call it that. Problem's not the right word. Problem is not the right word, but if we end up going past 1 o'clock, sometimes you.
Okay, well, look, here's what I'm going to do while I'm on. I'm going to eBay and I'm typing in 2005 Playboy Playmate of the Year DVD.
He's going to eBay. He's going to go try to buy the
It's
DVD.
there. It can be had for $2.99 or best offer.
Man, who's making a best offer for a $299 like top? What is that? eBay's a weird place, dude. That's crazy.
Oh, it's the print ad only.
Oh,
It's not really DVD. Boy, you have to be a real
tough.
fucking loser.
That is tough. By the way, text guy, I don't know if you're talking about Tiffany or somebody else. They are divorced due to her having an affair. I don't know who you're talking about there, but I bet that describes why there's not a huge list of men that can say that right now. Because it's probably really tough to stay married to a former Playmate of the Year. And it's not her fault or your fault. It's just complex. That's just complex, man. That's got to be a really difficult thing to do. All right, we do have a couple of super chats. We also need to do buy or sell and Scottish guy. Catch, what do we do first? Your choice.
There's a Tiffany Fallon 2008 Playboy cover where she's dressed as Wonder Woman.
That can't be bad. That cannot be bad.
There have to be worse things in life.
There are worse things in life than that.
Like you and I dressed as Wonder Woman. I'll let you go first today.
Going for all right. So we're going buy or sell first, and I will go first. By the way, before we officially buy or sell, let's officially thank you guys. We're up to 22,500 plus on subscribers. We're up over 10.8 million views on the YouTube channel. So thank you so much. Remember, like, subscribe, get your notifications. If you didn't like on the way in, please like on the way out of the show if you could. Catch, buy or sell number one. For you to take Florida and the points, it would have to go to 24 and a hook. Right now it's at 22 and a half.
God, you've really asked me a question that I thing is, I've got it at 38-13, so I have it 25 points.
Mm-hmm.
You get to 24 and a half, you're right. You're right in the area of I don't want to touch it.
Okay.
So what would it take for me to go floor? I would probably need 28.
You're going to sell and go 4 touchdowns?
I would need 28 to comfortably take Florida with the points.
To take Florida and the points. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. By the way, as weird magic would have it, you and I did not speak this week. We are both predicting 38-13. And when I said 38-13 on the Outsiders, Chance Mock looked at me weird. He's going 37-13. So you, me, and Chance Mock basically had the same prediction this week.
Well, and Onwar and Jason both picked 45-13.
I heard that,
everybody's in unison.
It's weird.
For 13 points.
For Florida will score 13. We all said more than 10, but 17's silly. Let's just not go crazy.
Whoa.
Easy. All right, Catch. Buy or sell number 2. 4 SEC teams will get to the CFP.
Buy. Yes.
Yep. It is sitting at 4 right now, and we'll see if it holds at that number. Catch, buy or sell number 3. You're not accusing anyone of anything, but it appears that NFL officials hate Joe Burrow.
Buy, man. It's almost like he's a black quarterback that can run. Usually it's the Cam Newtons of the world that it's like, hey, he's getting beat up on and they can't get a flag. Usually every quarterback in the NFL gets every call. Usually, except for guys that are bigger and are athletic and maybe. And Joe Burrow, I'm now acutely aware of NFL officials don't like him and they let opposing teams beat the crap out of him.
Yeah. Also, to that officiating crew, if you're going to miss 2 calls on one play that matters in the NFL, that was beautiful. Like, you can't argue that either of those shouldn't have been a flag. They both occurred on the same play, and they just missed them both. And
he got him in the face, Chad.
And Catch, that's a 2-point conversion play. That play happens in a phone booth. I'm not asking those dudes to follow him 60 yards down the field at a full sprint. We're all standing still. We've had a chance to catch our breath, and they missed them both. That's crazy.
I can almost forgive the mugging of the tight end.
Yep. But you got to catch them.
Because normally we look at these quarterback hit penalties and sometimes we just think, oh my God, are they just not, he can't touch him. A lot of times it feels like
No.
you're not allowed to touch the quarterback.
Even you and
The
me.
man was in his face. His helmet got readjusted. His face mask was all jammed into his face.
Oh my God. Night Train Lane thought that was a little physical.
And Burrow says after the game, like, I'm just used to not getting those calls, so I don't look for them. He's not lying. He was getting hit late, hit in the face, and at no point does he turn to the officials and go,
yeah, Catch.
Unbelievable.
The only thing I could think of is we had a time where it felt like Roethlisberger and Newton were getting treated differently because of their size, right? Just because they were bigger quarterbacks. But it does feel like there's something weird happening with handsome white quarterbacks. And there's a lot of those, but it feels like the officials are turning on the handsome white quarterback.
That they've turned on.
They turned on Cousins the other night. Wasn't he the one that they were? Cousins, a good-looking dude, yeah. They turned on that guy. Wasn't he the one they missed that obvious face mask on the other night? That was bad. That was brutal.
I usually defend NFL officiating. I talk all the time with fans all over the world about soccer. Asia, Europe, all kinds of different countries. And everybody's always kind of just over they lose their minds over and I do too. The officiating in professional, like the Premier League soccer, is just awful. And they hate instant replay. They call it VAR. They hate it so much they want it gone. And I'm like, you guys have no idea how easy the replay system can be. That we've been doing it for so long here, we would never be able to do without it. We assume that they'll get it right, and then we watch them zoom in on the ball. And I mean, it's rare when we miss something with replay. And I feel like this year the NFL's officiating is worse than the Premier League. And I usually pat those guys on the back and say, you know what? Aspire to be NFL officials who only occasionally will mess something up in a game to such a degree that it's actually talked about, where that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, there you go.
It was bad. All right, Catch, let's go to entertainment on buy or sell number 4. After watching the Penguin series and assuming the character survives the finale, there should be a movie with him as the villain and Pattinson as Batman.
Well, buy. There already has been one.
No, he's not the villain of that movie, though.
Well, no, but he's in the movie.
Yes, he's in the movie. I'm saying after seeing that and now this series, do you want to see a full-length movie where he's the lead villain?
Absolutely. Give me more of the Penguin world. We know, I feel like the Penguin's going to survive because
I hope so.
He's in the movie.
Well, no, but the movie's after. I mean,
no,
the
movie's
movie
to build up to. It's a prequel.
Right. The movie builds up to the series, doesn't it?
I thought the series was a prequel to what we see in the movie.
Okay, we can
because in the movie he's a thing, and in the beginning of this series he's just a guy. We've watched him become a guy who's in charge of things.
All right, you and I need to have a separate discussion. Then you need to help me timeline wise because we don't want to have it now, but I need to get clarification on that. But we both agree that there should be a movie coming up, right? I hope.
Yeah, no, more.
Yeah, and Pattinson was great as Batman. I wasn't expecting that. I thought he was really good. The thing
that is funny is, where is Batman?
I've been wondering the same thing. Yep, been wondering the same thing. Hey, one episode to go, and then we'll talk.
3-block area just got destroyed with a bomb. Isn't this where he needs to be dropping in?
Yeah, right. Wasn't there something y'all put in the sky? No? Okay.
This must be the off season for Batman. He's like on an island having sex with supermodels. Shout out to Tiffany Fallon. And who apparently, according to our viewers, I cannot confirm nor deny. I don't even know if they're divorced. So
I don't even know.
I just know that was uttered in the chat.
Yeah. All right, Catch. It came to me last night. I wasn't trying to find it, but I think I found it. Let me see if you agree. Buy or sell number 5. You have seen the Beyonce Levi's commercial, and if anyone can do it, she can. Prime on Prime. Beyonce, hotter than Stacy Keibler.
Sell and sell. I haven't seen it. I have seen a recent picture of Beyonce, and holy crap, does she look amazing? But it still keeps. No offense.
It is one of the greatest commercials I've ever seen in my life. It almost has remember when you first saw the Cindy Crawford Pepsi commercial?
Yes.
It's got that kind of feel to it. It's some of the best softcore porn I have ever seen in my life, Catch. It's so well done.
Hold that thought. I've got a buy or sell question coming up in like 4 questions.
So well shot. Yeah, really good work. So there you go. All right, Catch, I'm done. What do you got?
Buy or sell number 1. Quinn Ewers listed on Prize Picks 1.5 touchdowns, or you could go Red Devil 2.5 touchdowns. YOLO. Quinn Ewers, more than 2.5 touchdowns on Prize Picks this weekend.
Oh, wow. You're saying go all the way. I definitely like the 1.5. You're saying 2.5. Yeah,
Red
buy.
Devil.
Yeah, buy. Let's say he gets, we'll say 3 or more. That Florida defense, they should be able to get after. What's that number again? Pass defense, Florida, 68 in the country. Texas, supposedly the 13th best passing team. Got to get the mojo back. Yes, mojo is 3 touchdown passes or more. I don't think Sark would tell us any different. I'll buy.
Buy or sell number 2, sticking with the Prize Picks theme. I've got a Red Devil on Isaiah Bond, 69.5 receiving yards. You like the more?
Yeah, I'll buy that too. Maybe we're putting too much into number 7, but he feels really, really, really important. He's been, in a way, the most impactful guy for both quarterbacks. If you go back and think about certain moments, and I do think he unlocks the part of the field you talked about earlier this week, that 10 to 15 area. I think Bond can own that in a way nobody else can. So I'll buy.
Buy or sell number 3. The Cowboys play this weekend, and you barely care.
Buy, because it's a 325 kick with the Eagles, and I'm going to see the Black Crows. So whatever happens it's in Dallas, right? In Arlington?
I don't care.
Yeah, I didn't care. Wait, hold on. Yeah, there it is. Right up there. It is in Dallas. And Catch, the Cowboys have trailed by 20 or more at home for 4 straight home games. That is tied for the longest record ever. No team's ever trailed by 20 or more in 5 straight home games. They're probably about to do it. But again, I'm going to go see the Robinson brothers and see something of substance that night. I really don't care about that game.
Maybe I should do a Black Crows top 10 for my 10 thoughts in the weekend. I've never done that.
I'd love to see it because they are one of my favorites. And I don't think you and I have ever talked about the Crows. I'd love to see your thoughts on the Crows.
Who knows? Maybe that's just the motivation that I'll need. Buy or sell number 4. You like the Tide to beat the Tigers in Baton Rouge this weekend?
Yeah, it's a buy. Both of the home teams in the big matchups, LSU and Ole Miss, I'm rooting for them, but I think they're both going to fail. I hope I'm wrong. I want to be so wrong here, but I'm definitely taking Bama. LSU just so shaky in College Station. Most people would just watch that and be so happy for their team, and I was. But God, those gifts. Just two of the worst throws I've ever seen, and then a seeing ghosts like you've never seen after that. That's a sloppy football team. I think DeBoer's group's going to be better, and I think Kelly's going to eat his first night loss in Baton Rouge.
And finally, buy or sell number 5. This is Tiffany Fallon, former Playmate of the Year.
Yes, sir.
As Superwoman on what I believe is a February 2008 issue
Wonder
of
Woman.
Playboy. I always like to look at these magazines and look at what was being talked about in 2008. Look, our boy McConaughey's right there on the list.
McConaughey. The fetching Rachel Bilson. I like that.
The shirt's on, the mouth's off.
Look at that.
It is the Sex in America issue.
Okay.
And then I am kind of interested in the stripper girlfriend section.
Of course you are. That's why they made the magazine for so many years.
So here's my buy or sell. Oh, and by the way, it is Red Hot and Spicy, the Women of Hooters.
Damn right.
Is anything more 2008 than the Playboy Women of Hooters issue?
Nope. Nope.
Buy or sell number 5. I've now shown you Tiffany Fallon, my ex-coworker at Rivals.com. Technically, I wasn't an employee of Rivals, so maybe we weren't co-workers, but that's semantics. Buy or sell. Now that you've seen Tiffany Fallon, the cover, when the show's over, you will do Tiffany Fallon, the Google Images search. Buy or sell.
I think that definitely has to be a buy. I am not going to insult any of the other people, but just looking at her, she feels like a hotter version of about 5 or 6 other women that I could name. So I guess that's the weird compliment I would give her. Yeah, she's incredibly attractive. Also, Catch, am I seeing this cover right? Is that body paint and not an actual, like, suit?
Ooh.
I think that's body paint. Now, I don't know if the boots feel real. I don't know if they body painted that on, but isn't the suit body paint?
It may very well be. You know, that was right in the age of body paint became a thing.
That feels like I feel like we should be appreciating that picture on multiple levels. And I think that's one of the levels. I think that's a body paint shot. That's how my OCD works. I don't always see the obvious. I'll see the stupid, dumb details. So there you go.
Well, there you go. That's how we play buy or sell.
That's it. That's how we do it right there, kids. That's how intelligent.
You never know what stories are going to come out of my mouth on any given show.
Yep, that is it. That is it. Fantastic. That was excellent. Before we get to Scottish Guy, just a quick reminder about AV consultations, because I hadn't mentioned them yet today. They are your place to get set up for the setup that you need. Big screen, multiple screens, the family movie room you've always wanted. We got Christmas obviously coming up in about a month or so. Make that the Christmas gift to the whole family, or maybe it's just to yourself. You want to get a bigger screen. You've always wanted it. Go get it. Catch talks about, YouTube TV all the time and that awesome 4-box setup you can do. That's cool. But if your original TV is not big enough, when you go to that 4-box, it's kind of like a wah, wah. When you have the big, gigantic screen, the 4-box gets even better. AV consultations can do that for you and so much more. 255-8678 or go to avconsultations.com. All right, Jeff Ketchum, anything that needs to be done before we get to Scottish Guy today?
I'm actually going to hit the eject cord because I'm getting messages from the wife, and I've got to go be dad. And
all right, there you go.
I told her 1 o'clock, and now it's 1:20, and now I'm getting bitched at.
There you
because
go.
I told her 1 o'clock, and it's now 1:20.
There it is. For 2 straight weeks, Catch has a convenient excuse to miss Scottish Guy. Well done, boss.
I didn't say I'm going to leave it up.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just going to go.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you're gone, and then we'll play it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. All right, here you go. Y'all be safe. Y'all travel safe. The Ketchums are coming to Austin for the game tomorrow. We'll also get you set up for the watch party one more time. But before that, here's a little Scottish Guy for you.
You won't break my heart, and I don't love you. Famous last words of a fool. There are 3 accepted rules for figuring out when to put up your Christmas lights. 1, never before Thanksgiving. 2, never before December 1st or 15th, depending on how much you hate yourself. And 3, when the Aggies let down their fans after giving them hope. In case you missed last Saturday in Rooster Country, it's time to deck those halls. South Carolina's QB looked like Cam Newton in his prime. Their running back looked like Barry Sanders in his prime. And the Aggie defense looked like Texas Tech in their prime. 3 weeks, little brother, before the atomic wedgies begin. On to the Horns, fresh off the bye week and number 6 in the first CFP bracket. The talk this week is that the offense needs to get its mojo back. But do they really? Have you looked at this schedule? It's like the last scene from a war movie. Florida might have to play a QB that transferred from Yale. And that's not even a joke. Arkansas gave up 63 at home. And Mark Stoops doesn't send an injury report each week. He just cuts and pastes the entire roster. Plus, the Aggies' so-called running game just lost the only thing it had. Anyone afraid of Emmett's kid? Exactly. At this point, Emmett is more of a threat. Bottom line, when Texas is good, nobody's better in SEC land. They just need to be better than the Ducks or the Buckeyes, and there's plenty of time for that. All right, my little burnt orange kiddies, 11 a.m. kick. Show up early, yell like crazy, and hopefully you see Arch play. No, not like that. Like that. UT 62, Little Gators, even smaller chomp 3. This is SGEASY.
All right, there you go. There you go. Before we get out of here, we did get some super chats in as we were doing buy or sell. Jose, I feel bad on this one. $4.99. I obviously am not qualified for this one, but let me see if I can get it right. Buy or sell. Sporting's demolition of Man City was more impressive than Liverpool's demolition of Leverkusen. I'm not familiar with that word. Leverkusen. I'll say buy. No, wait. It's Liverpool's demolition. So Catch might lean towards Liverpool. I'll say sell and take whatever Liverpool was. That's probably what Catch would do. Jose, thank you for that. Juan throws in a $4.99. Did Jonte Cook's big personality cost him at Texas because he talks a lot on social media? Juan, I don't know if that's not an ingredient of it, but that can't be the whole thing. Come on. I mean, not now, not today. If you're a big time program, they know these guys are on social media. I mean, do y'all remember the raps that Keelan Robinson was doing? And these guys are out there. They're doing stuff. It's not just the NIL stuff with cars and whatever. Like Keelan was rapping and there's comments about all kinds of stuff. Guys are making videos everywhere. So I don't think it's just that. If he was busting his ass and doing every bit of work and was doing exactly what they wanted him to do, I think they'll allow some social media. I don't think that would be it. So big personality, no. Sounds like it was just kind of a lack of work ethic and, just needing to mature a little bit, needing to figure out how to fit into that situation. And, we all talked about it. It's really wild how fans talked about it, media talked about it. We all saw it when it happened. Like, what's the first thing we talked about when Bond, Bolden, and Golden showed up? When we heard that, what's the first thing we talked about? Whoa, what does that mean for Jonte Cook? It's the first thing out of everybody's mouth. And then it ends up being kind of you build all that up. They come in, and for whatever the reason was, instead of that making him really push himself, it made him back off. And then would the coaches tell us, we talked about this yesterday, would then the coaches come back to us and say, Chad, you're thinking about it in the wrong order. It's not that Jonte backed off because they showed up. We brought them here because he had already backed off. We brought them here because he'd already shown us he couldn't be that guy. Maybe that was it. I don't know. Only the coaches know, but I don't think it was just personality. And then this one from Tracy, $5 super chat. Thank you, Tracy. Buy or sell. With the conference realignments, Texas will win a Director's Cup in the next 5 years. A Director's Cup. That's interesting. Man, Tracy, there's a couple things at play here. It's wild that now that now that things have been disconnected and then Stanford has less sports. Like if you go back in time, it almost could we make an argument that Stanford had this weird advantage nobody else had because of the number of sports and all that? And then is that the only reason they won the Director's Cup? But considering past history, what was it? 2 out of 3 at one point that Texas won. Next 5 years, I'll buy that. We'll see. We need to see what it is with a Power 4 structure, Texas in the SEC and all that kind of stuff. But the chance to be successful in basketball probably got a little, I'm trying to think of the big sports. We all know football, that's tougher to get to Atlanta and all that kind of stuff. But like basketball, we could argue maybe one of them got a little easier, maybe on the men's side. Probably the women's side got tougher because of what you have to battle through. You got South Carolina and LSU and all that. And then baseball got tougher, right? Not that the Big 12 was a cakewalk, but trying to get through all that to the SEC. So, I mean, I guess if I'm going to play the math, I'd say sell. I'm going to sell it to play. If I'm playing the math, I'll say sell, but it wouldn't shock me if they did it. But I'll say maybe the realignment with SEC would be a little tough. Tracy, appreciate that. Let me scan and see what else we might have. That was the last super chat that I see. All right. I think that may just about do it. Jeff Ketchum is headed in. Hang on one second. That was good. Calvin, yes. This is what it is. Jeff and the family are headed in for the game. If you see them, wave to the Ketchums this weekend. And then Ketch said they may drop by TCH Social Austin to see us one more time. If you don't know where to go watch the game, come watch it with us. Jason Sukamel and I are going to be there watching, and then we'll do the post-game show. Remember, 2-minute warning of the fourth quarter is when we fire it up on right here on YouTube, right on Orange Bloods Live, and get you all the reaction. We always have a good, lively bunch that jumps in. A lot of super chats in the post game. We certainly appreciate that, and you'll appreciate $1 draft, $2 jellyfish. And as I've pointed out, that $1 draft includes two of my favorites, Love Street and Stella. I forgot how good Stella was on draft. Holy hell. I think that may be where I start tomorrow. But then the $2 jellyfish, hard to beat. In case you're a beer person and you don't know the math, if you buy a can of jellyfish at a Moody Center concert, it's $18. And this is a $2 pint. I talked to a guy last week that was on his 4th or 5th jellyfish, I think. I will not say his name and out him for that, but yeah, he was taking advantage of the special. Come do that as well. Plus, you see the info there if you mention Orange Bloods in terms of the membership. But remember, you do not have to be a card player at all. Could be just about hanging out with us and watching this big, beautiful screen. We'll dial up that Texas game right in the middle where you see the 21-7 Texas Vanderbilt score. That's where we'll have Texas and Florida. We'll make sure, what are the other games? We'll make sure Purdue and Ohio State is on a channel. We'll make sure Miami and Georgia Tech is on one of those screens. And then we'll find ourselves 2 other 11 o'clock games to roll out as well. So come on out and see us. It's going to be a good time. Again, Jason Sukamel is going to be hanging out. When we get done with the post-game show, more than likely, Georgia and Ole Miss won't be done yet. So we'll probably finish that up. And then if you want to just stay on through Bama and LSU, we're going to crank up at 6:30. It's going to be a good day. Speaking of good and good, I feel like this image just needs to go up one more time. Just a shout out to the former Rivals employee. Hope she is doing well today. Tiffany, I did not know about you when today started, but now I do. Tiffany and the outer parts of the Hall of Helmets. That is just a fantastic image right there. All right, y'all have yourself a good rest of your Friday. In fact, no, that's not good. Let's just end that way. Have yourselves a good. There we go. All right. Have yourselves a good Friday and a good weekend. Remember, football with friends at 6:00 this evening, and then come join us for the watch party and post game at TCH Social Austin tomorrow for that 11 o'clock kick. We will see y'all in the morning, and we'll see you next week, high noon on a Monday for the next House Divided. Wait. See ya.